it back in the drawer. Darling, if you cut my heart out, I won't love you anymore. Went out last night with a couple of friends, got high as I could be. Between my pals and them there gals, I had myself a spree. I got home late, sneaked through the gates, so's not to wake my wife. It weren't no good, for there she stood with a big old carving knife. Put that knife away, Nellie, put it back in the drawer. Darling, if you cut my heart out, I won't love you anymore. I said, "Hi, Nell, you're looking swell." She never even stirred. I tried to wink, but I don't think she heard a single word. She looked at me and I could see she must have smelled my breath. She took a swing with that there thing, it scared me half to death. Put that knife away, Nellie, put it back in the drawer. Darling, if you cut my heart out, I won't love you anymore. I took a step, she took a step, then I took 3 or 4. She missed me in the kitchen, but she stabbed the kitchen door. She bellered like a branded calf for missing that away. She would have cut me plumb in half, so then I had to say, put that knife away, Nellie, put it back in the drawer. Darling, if you cut my heart out, I won't love you anymore. Then I said, look here, woman, if you don't like them there jails, you better take that carving knife and manicure your nails. Then I dove out the window, 'cause I couldn't reach the door. I got outside and cried, and then I cried some more. Put that knife away, Nellie, put it back in the drawer. Darling, if you cut my heart out, I won't love you anymore. Now my grandpap came from Texas in a town called Cyclone Gap, and grandpap was a tough old bird to meet. Once a man called him a greaser and forgot to guard his beezer, and from that time on they called him Pizen Pete. Pizen Pete was his name, all the bad men he could tame. He's the fastest man in Texas on the draw. When old Pete rode in at sundown, all the cowboys laid their guns down. They would yell, put out the lights and call the law. Once old Grandpap rode to Pecos and he plumb forgot his gun. The sheriff thought that he was Killer Black. All the boys were hale and hearty, so they give a necktie party, and old Grandpap had to furnish all the neck. Pizen Pete was his name, his 2 pistols brought him fame, but he never died a-hanging on a tree. When they tried to hang old Pizen, he looked up and rolled his eyes and said, this hanging's gonna be the death of me. Well, they took him out and hung him to a weeping willow tree. On his feet they tied 100 pounds of lead. And they all looked so elated as they stood around and waited, but to their surprise the willer died instead. Pizen Pete was his name, he was old but he was game. When they hung him, Pizen didn't mind a bit. When they finally cut him down, he shot up the whole darn town, 'cause they stretched his neck and now his shirts won't fit. Once the sheriff swore he'd get him and he'd lock him up in jail, then he'd take him out and string him up so neat. Pizen Pete flew off the handle, now the sheriff eats off the mantle, 'cause old Pizen shot him in the rumble seat. Now old Pete is dead and gone, 'cause the sheriff done him wrong, but it wasn't hanging that cut off his breath. The sheriff shot him in the breeches, for old Pete could sew the stitches. He fell through the hole and choked himself to death.